Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while. I've been busy working on my online store, making custom design shirts and lots more different merchandises. So if you're interested, check the link out in the description section. Yeah, today we're going to continue exploring the Caribbean region. We're going to have a cruise cool vibe as usual, so sit back and enjoy the flight. We're going to share some information about the different islands, and I will see you in the next one. Enjoy.
Welcome to Clayton J. Lloyd International Airport is a small international airport located on the island of Anguilla, a British overseas territory in the Caribbean. It is located very close to the valley, the island's capital. Here's a brief history. Long before the arrival of Christopher Columbus in the Caribbean, Anguilla had been settled by Arawakan-speaking Indians, who called it Malayahana. They were originally from the Orinoco River basin of South America and arrived on the island about 2000 BCE. Anguilla was colonized in 1650 by British settlers from St. Kitts and thereafter remained a British territory, administered as part of the Leeward Islands colony. The British did not encounter any Arawaks on the island, but in 1656 a raid by Indians from one of the neighboring islands wiped out their settlement. The early years were difficult for the colonists. In 1666 a French expedition attacked the island, and in 1688, a joint Irish-French attack forced most of the colonists to seek refuge on Antigua. During the latter part of the 17th century, the poor yield from tobacco, the island's principal cash crop, and from cotton created economic hardship. However, in response to the increasing demand for sugar in Europe, the settlers began producing sugarcane, using enslaved Africans, in the early 18th century. Sugar, which yielded better returns than tobacco or cotton, transformed an economy made up primarily of European small farmers into one in which the laboring class was composed mostly of African slaves working on sugar estates. Anguilla's economic and social development was frequently disrupted by European political conflicts that spilled over into the Caribbean. The French attacked the island in 1745, but were repelled by the local militia. Welcome to St. Martin the island, lying at the northern end of the Leeward group of the Lesser Antilles in the northeastern Caribbean Sea. The island extends about 12 miles, 19 kilometers from north to south, and about the same distance from east to west, including a narrow looping sand spit that extends westward from the hilly main part of the island. It rises to a high point at Paradis Peak, 1,391 feet 424 meters, and has an area of 34 square miles, 88 square kilometers. The island receives about 45 inches, 1,140 millimeters of rain annually. The southern third is tied historically and administratively with the Netherlands, the northern two-thirds with France. The island was sighted on November 11, 1493, by Christopher Columbus, who named it in honor of St. Martin of Tours, whose feast day it was. Valued for its natural lakes of salt, a scarce commodity in Europe, the island changed between Dutch and Spanish hands several times. In 1648 the Dutch returned to the island to find it occupied by the French, with whom they signed a partition treaty. Sugarcane plantations, worked by black slaves, ancestors of most of the present inhabitants, were important for a time, but declined in the 19th century. The Dutch, southern, part of the island, St. Martin, has coastal lagoons, salt pans, and sand spits. It became a part of the Dutch West Indies in 1828, and it was one of the original territories of the Netherlands Antilles Federation that was established in 1954 and dissolved in 2010. St. Martin is now an autonomous state within the Kingdom of the Netherlands. The capital is Philipsburg. The economy draws increasingly on tourism, as the government encourages exploitation of the island's most valuable natural resources, the clean beaches and pleasant climate. The French, northern, part of the island, St. Martin, has beaches and forest-covered hills. It formerly belonged to the French overseas department of Guadeloupe, but attained separate status as an overseas collectivity of France in 2007. Tourism developed rapidly in the late 20th century, and St. Martin is now a major Caribbean tourist destination. Welcome to History of St. Barths Island. Arawak Indians gave St. Barthelemy Island, now commonly known as St. Barths, or St. Barts, its first name is Uanalau, which may refer to the iguanas that resided on the island. When Christopher Columbus discovered the island in 1493, it was given the name of St. Barthelemy, named after his younger brother Bartolomeo. The first attempt to settle was made by the French, who came in 1648. The settlement was not a great success, in part because the island has no source of fresh water and has very little level ground for farming. 2 years later the island was sold to the Knights of Malta, who attempted to grow indigo and cotton there and developed salt farming, fishing, and livestock breeding programs. Their colony struggled, and in 1656 the Carib Indians destroyed the settlements. It was not until 1763 that French mariners from Normandy and Brittany reclaimed the island. French buccaneers enhanced the economy by providing plunder taken from Spanish galleons. Tales of piracy arose, which later inspired the characters of Red Rackham and Captain Hook. There was also Monbers the Exterminator, a famous buccaneer who maintained his headquarters in St. Barths. It is believed that his hidden treasure rests somewhere on the island, either in the coves of Anse de Gouverneur or in the sands of Saline. The French then found themselves continuously fighting for ownership of St. Barths. In 1744, the British took over the island, and it took 20 years for it to be returned to the French. But the French lost the island again when King Louis XVI sold it to Sweden as a trading possession in 1784. As a tax-free port under Swedish rule, it provided a trade and supply center. The port was named Gustavia to honor King Gustav III. Vessels from all around the world would come to the port. Sea captains would sell their booty to St. Barths, as well as replenishing their cargoes. Business thrived until natural disasters struck and weakened the economy. In 1878, France finally reclaimed St. Barths by repurchasing the island for a modest 320,000 francs.